Okay, so I'm not really giving this one any thought prior to making it. I just got out of the shower like I have for a lot of my videos, and I want to talk about fetishes because people try to make things sound evil and make us feel ashamed for who we are, and that sucks. And so I thought I would do a fetish Q&A, and maybe it'll help everybody. If you have a type, you probably have a fetish. So what exactly is a fetish? What are some of my fetishes? What are the motives for, or potential motives for fetishes? Are they okay? Are they healthy? Are they normal? I mean, some of this seems like it should be common sense, but when people start pointing a finger at you and being like, you have a fetish, you have a fetish, like, they say it like it's a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing. They're trying to make it a bad thing. They perceive it as a bad thing, but a fetish is just something that you find arousal in that's non-sexual. So you can't really be like, well, I have a dick or a vagina fetish, because that's a sexual thing. And so of course you're going to sexualize something that's sexual. You know, women started, when we started walking upright, as a way to find a mate, women got boobs. And that is a way to attract a mate, whether you're coming or going. So there's ass guys, and there's chest guys, boob guys. So that's not a fetish, because those things are meant to stimulate arousal. But there are things that are, it's really like, it's such a weaved, like, sort of, it's such a tangled, like, net of what isn't a fetish, what's healthy, what isn't healthy. So I think some of the really common fetishes would be feet. That's a super common fetish. Muscles, like, that's a super common fetish. Now, that's interesting because muscles are meant to attract a mate, and they're meant to show that you can care for your mate, and biologically they served a purpose. They don't serve the same purpose anymore, yet our biology still tells us, yes, let's find a mate that has these qualities that aren't necessarily going to help in this day and age. But you can see somebody who has something and you could be attracted to it, but it can also arouse you, and it can be a fetish. Now, these fetishes range from everything to everything. So I'm going to tell you a couple of mine, and I'm going to explain a couple, and I'm going to talk about some motives, and I'm going to talk about what is or isn't healthy when it comes to fetishes. So I talked about this in a different video, I think. Maybe I didn't post it, but I have a chip nail polish fetish. Like, every time I see a girl with chip nail polish, especially if it's black, I'm like, it just does something to me. And there's a reason for it. I understand the psychology behind it, and I understand why it appeals to me, but it's non-sexual. So it would be a fetish because it actually causes me to be aroused. I have a singer fetish. If I told you all of my biggest crushes, they would pretty much be singers. When I see a woman that can just sing, I'm like, holy shit, like, it just arouses me. There's nothing I can do to stop that. Now, I have a little chest fetish, okay? Now, that one's a weird one because we're talking about something sexual, but we're talking specifically about something sexual. So why do I have a little chest fetish, and why is it a fetish if it's about something sexual? Well, it's a fetish because it's you know, I can talk to people in everyday life and just be like, whatever, but when somebody has a really small chest, I like find it very, very arousing. Now, why is this? Well, I have a strong desire in me to care for my partner, and commonly in society, women are meant to feel like having a small chest is somehow a negative thing. And so a lot of women that have a small chest have self-esteem issues as a result, and there's part of me that just finds that appealing. Like, I want to take care of that part of them and be like, oh my god, I really like little boobs, and it's okay, and you know, I think it's a huge turn on. And so there's a specific reason for it. Now, you could have a fetish for tall and short people. I had a good friend that was 6'7", and he had a fetish for short girls, and he ended up marrying a 5'2" girl, and she had a thing for guys like over 6'5". So it was two people with reverse fetishes, I guess, if you will, and they were able to sort of find that in each other. And you know, they were both professional, have kids and a marriage, and are a successful, healthy couple. Let's see, what are some other fetishes? You could have a fetish for somebody in a wheelchair. You could have a fetish for somebody with curly hair. You can have a fetish for eye colors. You could have a fetish for whether or not earlobes connect or don't. I have a friend that has a fetish for girls with an underbite. You could have a fetish for people with ugly feet or very specific things. You could have a fetish for grape jelly. I mean, you can have a lot of fetishes. Now, can you have a fetish for something that you also have? So can you have a foot fetish if you have feet? Of course you can. Can you have a fetish for short people if you're short? Or people in a wheelchair if you're in a wheelchair? Absolutely. Can you have a fetish for penises if you have a penis? There actually is such a thing as a gay fetish. You can be a straight man who has a fetish for things gay and isn't necessarily gay. Now, that seems a little counterintuitive, so you would want to probably look into that one on your own, but I'm just saying that it's a thing you can have. Could you have a blackmail fetish? I think that's starting to turn into a fantasy. So there is a difference kind of between fantasy and fetish, and I think that is displayed by the particular behaviors and motives surrounding something. And whether or not it's a physical trait or if it's going into the realm of something else. Can you have a fetish for race? Absolutely. You absolutely can. You can just fucking love Asians, or you can love white people, or you can love black people, and you can see one, and I don't just mean love, I mean actually you can be sexually aroused by somebody and a particular race, and it could be now let's unpack that for a second. What are the motives behind that? Maybe there is something behind the facial structure of Asian people that somebody finds more arousing, and so it's a fetish. Maybe you have a fetish for white people, and what's the difference between a type and a fetish? If you're Asian or Hispanic or Latin or black or whatever you are, if you have a thing for white people, what is the motive? That would be one of the main questions I would ask. Are you just curious about it? Is it like, oh, I just need to get that off my list, I need to try that once? Or is there more to it than that? Is there something you like? Do you like the contrast? Is there something about that you find enjoyable? Is there something, I don't think, at that point, then is it a contrast fetish? Can you have a lasting relationship when there's a fetish at play? Highly likely, yes. I would say that you almost have to have some sort of thing that arouses you about your partner. You could be very straight-laced and you could just be aroused by sexual things, but chances are you're aroused by something else. I have been in a relationship with somebody who had a major hand fetish, and they were very specific about the hands that they like. And I wouldn't not date somebody because I had a quality that they really liked. Chances are, if you're selecting a partner, you have qualities that each other likes, whether they're physical characteristics or whether they're personality traits that you find very appealing to the point of arousal. That's okay. It's completely okay. I think a self-aware person is going to understand that you can't make a relationship work with just a pair of cute feet if you don't get along with the person. So ideally, I think we all look for a partner that we connect with, but then there's also things about them that we thoroughly enjoy and ensure we have a good chance of making a relationship work. And if there's some fetishes that you're getting met as a result, maybe it's really hairy bush. Maybe it's just crazy pubic hair. So if you meet somebody and you have really short pubic hair and your partner says, hey, I have a pubic hair fetish, can you just grow this gigantic 70s bush? Would you do it? Or would you be like, no, I don't want to be fetishized? Of course. If you can do something that's going to appeal to your partner, I think most people would do it. I mean, it's like, whether it's facial hair, whether it's, you know, whatever it might be, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I don't want anybody feeling like if they have a fetish that there's something to be ashamed of, whether it's related to race, whether it's related to height, whether it's related to weight, whether it's related to a particular body part like hands, elbows, knees, and toes. Whatever it is, it's okay. It's okay. If you are a self-aware person and you're not choosing your partners for that quality alone, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. So if you have a fetish, feel free to comment. I mean, I'm curious if you're comfortable enough to talk about it. State your fetish down below. And, you know, the more random or obscure, there's a lot of things that we might not think are fetishes, like manubriums or Adam's apples or, you know, whatever it might be. But I would love to hear some of yours. So thank you for watching, and you are always welcome to troll my comments section. My videos are typically pretty troll worthy because I try to talk about something that's going to make people think. My videos are not all inclusive, and they're on the fly, so I get out the thoughts that I can, and sometimes I never feel like they're good enough, and I gotta live with that, but it's what it is. Thanks for watching.